I'm Jonny, and in this video you will learn more about how to onboard new contractors in Pims. I'll show you how to register a new contract, how to grant access to the contractors, how to configure the workflow related to exchanging documents and data with the contractors, and how to populate Pims with the MDR, the documents plan, which documents to deliver when. Okay, so let's first have a look at the contracts register. I open the contracts web app, and here I see the contracts that have been registered in this domain. I can create a new one by just typing it in here, and I need to assign it to a company. One company can of course have multiple contracts assigned, and the DCC email address is used by Pims when sending notifications to the contractor, for example when a review has been finalized. So now the contract is registered, I can access the contract to provide some more information. And to grant access to the contractors, I would add them as member of the contract. So let's say that Paul contractor, he should have access to all the documents for this contract, and by adding him here he will get that access. This list of users comes from the users registered in Pims, so this contractor needs to be a user first of all. That's covered in a separate session, how to manage the users. And also expand this correspondence settings, because here you can say what kind of access and permissions you should have inside the correspondence register. For example, if this user is primary receiver of any correspondence for this contract. Note that internal users, they have access to view documents in all contracts unless it's a confidential document, but to have some specific actions inside the correspondence register you may add him here. So for example, let's say that John Engineer is the primary receiver of messages, he is added to the contract as well as a member. Next thing I can do is to select which company codes that is applicable for the contract. A company code or originator code is an attribute on a document. It's in many cases also part of the document number, and in many cases one contract only have one company code assigned, but it can have multiple. For example, when you have subcontractors of that contractor and you want to have a different originator code for each of them. Contract documents is documents that the contractor need to know about. That could be procedures, for example, and you can use Pims for sharing these documents with the contractor and keep track of which revision the contractor has received. In this case, let me find some procedure that I would like to have included. I can use filters here. Let's say I just want to have the KA, which is procedures, and I add this document. I can also specify which appendix it's a part of. So in this way I have marked that this document is part of the appendix, and I can share this document with the contractor and keep track of which revision the contractor has. Interface documents, I will not come into that topic in this session. That's related to when you use Pims document control together with Pims interface management. Then we have the settings. So here we can do various configuration for this contract. First we have the review deadline and response deadline. If nothing is specified here, it uses the default values, which is set per domain. Same thing with the calendar. So you can have specific number of days for deadlines for reviewing and a dedicated calendar per contract, but in most cases you just use the default value, which is defined per domain. Max email size, normally we recommend using 0. That means that it will not include any attachments when sending, for example, transmittal for those that has configured the contract to use transmittals. Instead, it will just be a hyperlink to the transmittal where they can download the files. You can also select a contract type. In this case, when this is a contractor, that's default, but you can say that this is a client instead, or if it's a verification or classification contract. Also topics that will be covered in separate session. So if we go down to the workflow configuration, we have required DCC validation of contractor submittals. In this case, it's turned off. That means that the documents will automatically be part of the documents register after this contractor has submitted the documents. Document control does not need to do any validation before it becomes available. Then the next one is automatically distribute submittals. That means that when it's part of the documents register, it will automatically be distributed for information or review based on the distribution matrix. And inform originator immediately after review finalization, in this case checked, which means that when the responsible for the review has finalized the review, it goes directly back to the originator of the document. The document controller does not need to create a transmittal or send the documents back to the originator in this case. Enable review comments response means that the originator, when they get the comments from the review, they can provide a response in the PDF file or the Excel file that is generated as part of the response back to the originator, and upload that into Pims. Pims will extract these comments automatically. Enable text review comments, in this case turned off, and that's what we recommend. That means that you have to provide your comments as annotations on the PDF file using the online web-based review tool or offline. Limit distribution to own company means that the contractor cannot distribute the correspondence to other than their own company. Using correspondence, yep, that means that this contract is available in the correspondence module. Finally, we can also say something about the internal users' permissions in the correspondence module. In this case, nothing is selected, which means that you have to add them as contract members to give them access to view or create or send the correspondence. But you can specify here that, okay, all internal users should have access to view messages for this contract. Same thing for letter reports or MOMs, for example. So after the contract has been established, we are ready to start receiving the MDR. The MDR contains a list of all the documents planned to be delivered and when. And it has several attributes. So let's have a little look at an example here. Here we have the document ID, title, plant number, document group, document type, etc. And there are some fields like review class, which is very important as part of the review process. Review class defines if a document is required for review or not. Planned IFR, planned IFC, if the document is to be issued for as built. You can also have additional attributes on your MDR, and this could be a template that you provide to the contractor that will make it easier for you when importing the MDR updates from the contractor. If not, you need to set up the mapping, and that's of course possible inside Pims. So let's have a little look at how we do that. Then I would go to the batch import feature in Pims, and then I can view some of the existing MDRs that we have imported from other contracts, or I can create a new one like I want to do in this case. So I create a new import, MDR sample, and then I will just load this from the Excel sheet. And here you can see that it will suggest the source and destination field. If the field name in the Excel file matches a field name in Pims, it will automatically identify them. If not, you just have to pick and choose from available fields in Pims. You can add the data to the import, and before I get it into the main register, we can do some verification that it's all correct, verified data, and commit if I want to do it all in one step. Verify data will then, it will check if the discipline code is valid, if the system code is valid, if the document number is according to the rules defined, etc. And if there are any issues, they will be listed here in the verification comments. When done, I will just commit, and the documents register will be updated. Then it's ready for the contractor to start submitting their documents. Of course, in addition, you need to make sure that you define your distribution matrix, who should review the documents, who should receive them for information, etc. But that is covered in separate sessions. Thank you.